Hey guys, how's it going? ItZMuRdA here with a preview video on the new Amp Station, or at least the one that's going to be coming in with the patch on December 17th at Freyr. That's the first place that it's going to be, and that's where it's starting. No other Amp Stations are going to have this design just yet. Kind of how they started out the Biolab design on Indar. I think they're looking for some more feedback, seeing how it plays into it, and maybe looking to push it out to other other Amp Stations in the future. But for the time being, if you've been on the playtest at all over the past couple of weeks on the PTS server, you've probably been hanging out at Freyr, new and improved, and you'll be seeing it on live servers now as well. So I thought I'd give you a quick and dirty overview of it. Graphics are turned up. You're welcome, Tremel. Yeah, we're just going to fly around a little bit on the test server and just give you guys an idea of what's going on. Observer Cam doesn't like it when I look down too much, so we'll see what we can do. Anyway, this is the Freyr as you know it, with the addition of some buildings and lots of walls and bridges and so on and so forth. Basically, the cap point has been moved out of the center of the base, and it's been turned into a 3-cap base, like you can see on the mini map that I expanded. And you've got C over there, you've got A over there, and B below me, and it's kind of like split into a bit of a triangle for capturing the base, as well as promoting infantry fights within these areas, in addition to earning spawn points if you hold a different one. So I guess let's start in the middle with what you're familiar with. This is still all the same in here, the V-Bay, but there is no cap point up here, and down where the SCU would be is where the defenders who own Freyr, or the Amp Station, when it rolls out to other Amp Stations, this is where you guys would spawn, down in here. So here's your spawn tubes, here's your equipment terminals. There's many and varied ways to exit. This is a spawn shield as well. You can go out this side, you can go out that side, go out the back, like you would the current exiting the SCU room. You can take the jump pads, lifts, whatever you want to call them, up to the V-Bay, like you used to be able to, or way up top. So there's lots of functionality for the defenders taking various approaches to exit their spawn area. So as far as if you're attacking the base, I guess, or you could still be defending the base and just have yourself have additional spawn points. When you capture, or whomever owns any of the spawn points will earn additional spawns. So for instance, here's the B point. Those who own B are going to get access to this spawn room over here. Speed ourselves up a little bit, well, not that much. Whereas those who own C are going to get access to this spawn room. They're essentially right next to each other, although it's not really too easy to access one another unless you're light assault or something like that, because you've got walls and really no access to one another unless you go back into one of these corner towers and then go across. Similarly, A has actually a pretty interesting spawn point. A will allow you to spawn down inside, but not necessarily in a place where the defenders in the main base can access. So this goes down to the A spawn room. So here's the A spawn room. Down in here you've got 2 exits. You can take the ramp I came in, or this ramp that I'm exiting, and you come up in one of those locations instead. So as you can see, there's a lot of buildings that have been added, a lot of walls, a lot of bridges, a lot of really fun infantry combat areas. If you're down in here on the ground as an infantry, you're shielded by a lot of things at any given angle. So that makes for some really compelling and enjoyable infantry encounters. And like I said, with the addition of the spawn, now there's 4 different spawn points at Freyr, the main one for whoever owns the base, and three for each of the cap points, depending on who owns those. You've got some pretty close-knit fighting rather than having to rely on a sunderer or foot-surging from a spawn room that's way back there, for instance, at one of the satellites. So that's something that I personally like a lot, having a consistent hard spawn that isn't going to be killed, and just make for some longer lasting enjoyable encounters, and especially ones that favor infantry. Now I don't know what the plans are for the Amp Station moving forward. I don't know if it's going to eventually roll out to all of them on Esamir, to all of them in the game. I think they're trying to mix it up a little bit and create some variety among them, so I wouldn't necessarily expect to see it everywhere, but this is a starting point, and be sure to give your feedback on it. I personally like it a lot so far. I've played on it in many and varied playtests, and It's never quite the same as what it'll be on live servers when you're on a playtest with a much smaller amount of people. Even though they've turned out to be some pretty decent turnouts of a number of players showing up to the playtests. But I'm really looking forward to see what it looks like when it hits live servers here tomorrow, and I think I'm going to enjoy it for sure. There's a lot of really nice areas that this is a familiar area, for instance, where there used to be the old one of the old generators in this room. And instead, you can see how they just really expanded this building into one of these types of buildings instead, with a cap point in it, and added all sorts of additional areas of cover and angles of approach and things like that. Even these little tiny, whatever you want to call these things, computer consoles of sorts, to hide behind and use for some run and gun encounters. I think it's really going to be a lot of fun. So give me your feedback as well if you've gotten to try it out on test, or once you try it out on live. What you like and dislike about it. Personally, as a 95% infantry player, I absolutely love it so far. I don't really know what else I can say about it. I didn't want to go into too much detail where I walk every single angle of the base or anything like that, so I thought it'd be cool to just hop in Observer Cam on test and show you guys the general overview of it, kind of do a flyby and an infantry walkthrough at the same time. Many of these buildings are ones that you're familiar with from other bases, so I don't think there's a need to go into each and every one, but as I was saying, you've got some really cool nooks and crannies in here, and for instance, this is one of the areas where you can come out of the main spawn. So if you come out of here, and I'm walking a little bit slower now, just to kind of give you a perspective of a foot soldier on the ground. There's lots of really cool angles about it, different approaches you can take, and what I like is, because I think light assault personally has the least valuable role right now, especially in some sort of a competitive or organized play, is that a lot of these additions that we're seeing, Amirish revamp, Esamir revamp, Haas and Nexus, the Biolab revamp, and now the Amp Station revamp, tend to favor different avenues for light assaults to really play to their strengths. And you can only imagine if you have the ability to jump up somewhere, there's like all these additional angles that are now available to you that most people wouldn't have access to. So I personally like that. I'm somebody who loves light assault, but I don't get to play it as much as I'd like to, because I feel like it doesn't really have the usefulness that it should. Back after release, it was by far my most played class, but nowadays I just pick it up here and there. But I really like these changes, and I'm sure I'm going to be playing it more because of it. Especially, as you can see, with these two spawners being relatively close together. Obviously you're not going to just camp one spawn or another, especially since this one is mostly underground, but I think it's a pretty cool opportunity for clever light assaults to make use of, depending on who owns which point. So the rest pretty much functions as you'd expect. Here's one of the entrances to it. I actually like these modified shield gens for vehicles, heightened and split like that. It looks pretty cool to me. I don't know. Partly aesthetic, but it also makes sense. Bit of a higher wall. So always not a fan of vehicles being able to shoot from a few tiers of ground below wherever I'm at, and somehow killing me just because of the angle that they could arc their tank shell or whatever it was. So I think raising some things up like that is pretty nice. You've got these kind of bridge corridors connecting the B area and the A area. There's a few more of them in various places as well. You've got these corner towers, or whatever you want to call them, largely closed in by these things that you started to see in certain towers and other areas. Fan of that as well. You guys probably know that vehicle spam is the thing that I hate the most. It's not so bad if the vehicle's close enough and you have a means to take it out, but when it's a couple hundred meters out, it's pretty frustrating to just fall over dead in one shot to something like that. So I definitely approve of the changes they've been making in that direction. And then here's our A point, kind of out in the open in comparison to the others, which are a bit more hidden away in a small building and a two-story building. But it's got these two-story buildings connecting it. I've actually had a handful of fights on this A point from building to building that have been pretty fun on the PTS so far. So I'm not sure what else there is to say about it, but hopefully this has been useful to you guys. Here's, for instance, one of these shield gens, now what it might look like exposed like that. I really like, let me just say, like over by the shield gen as well, the care that has been taken to just provide additional points of cover in various areas, like these things, for instance. Like you're over here, you're moving, you want to get up there, you have, you know, the opportunity to go here, you can then go here and make this peak, you can then make this movement over to here. And I think in a lot of the original level design that may have been ignored in some areas, and you can see it now, pretty contiguous routes that you can take from, you know, this door to here, or if you want to go over here, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, I like it. There's not a lot of open area for either being bombarded by vehicles or just being picked off by somebody far away, and I like how that was delicately planned, or at least seems like it was, when designing some of the newer bases. You can even see that in the new biolab as well. For instance, same here with these four rather rectangle objects around the gem, rather than just putting it open in the middle of nowhere, you know. But yeah, the main core of the base remains relatively the same. You don't have your spawn room that would have been over here at one point. Instead, you've got the A point, but you still have your V-pad and access to things and vehicles from within the base relatively remaining the same. The center of the base isn't quite as important to attackers because they don't need to cap your point over here, but it's now really a great central staging point. You can even tell this, rather than those elevators or jump pads, grav lifts, there you go, sooner or later I'll figure out what they're called, being down there for attackers to use. They're right there for defenders. They come right out of their spawn. They can jump right up to their air pad to pull an aircraft, which was kind of not the easiest thing to do previously. You would have to probably go to the second floor of your spawn room and take one of the jump pads over. But this is a bit more direct and allows you to set up defenses a lot nicer, I think. Plus, if you own one of these points, you've got an additional spawn point. As a defender, you can spawn both here and at one of the A, B, or C spawn rooms as well. So, pretty cool stuff overall. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited that the holiday event is going to be on Esamir because it's been my favorite continent since it came out anyway, and the holiday event being there is just hopefully going to bring more and more people here to test out the new amp station. So hopefully we're going to get a lot of fights around here, and you guys let me know what you think about it, and I'm hoping that we see this design at more amp stations in the future. So you guys have a happy holiday and enjoy your patch and things like that, and I'll probably see you soon to go over some patch notes when this comes out. And be sure to check out the holiday events and sales and stuff like that. If you didn't check out the previous video, I discussed that in more detail, but there's a lot of really awesome stuff coming up for the holidays, so don't miss out! And tune into the stream over at ItZMuRdA.com on a daily basis, streaming PlanetSide 2. Thanks for checking it out, guys. Appreciate all the support. Y'all have a good one.